Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction and read through for tonight's new Tower of God chapter. We got chapter 627 or season 3 episode 210. I said something I think after last week where I was like, it seems like lately, and by lately it's for a little while now, it's like bomb chapter, bad. Non-bomb chapter, incredible. So it's like every chapter we have that isn't a bomb-focused one, like last week, I think is incredible. I really loved last week's chapter. I talked about it a bit with some of you earlier on Discord where, talking about this arc, I'm like, though I feel like, because I was seeing some of you saying that it's like hit and miss for you. There are some good parts, some bad parts when it comes to this arc, and I agree. For me, the flashback was good. For me, almost all of the present time has not been great writing-wise. In fact, I think, when it comes to like pacing out this arc and how the different elements of this arc are being implemented, I think this might be some of CU's weakest writing, maybe CU's weakest writing in the series, just this overall arc. But despite that, it's like while the writing of the arc itself, like what we're getting on panel, I don't think is very good. Somehow, in the midst of it, I think we have told some really good character stories, and it's not as easy as being like, oh, this chapter is good and this chapter is bad, because it's like the overall framework hasn't been that great, but within that overall framework, I think that Dumas has been a great character. I thought that Tiara was great. Gaston and Traumerei are both great. I really love Enkidu. I think that Bellerir and Goruro are both really good characters. I think that we have told some really good stories with these characters through this flawed framework. So I'm really happy with a lot of the characters that we have going on now, and I'm excited to see more of them. I think after what we saw last time, if we're not cutting back to Bam and Dumas, if we're sticking with what we were seeing last time, then I don't think we're going to get a real fight yet. Don't get me wrong, it'd be exciting if we did, but to me, I think they might just like play around, they're just like barely fighting a little bit when it comes to Gaston and Traumerei, like they did in the hotel arc. I think that something like that is more possible, because to me, Gaston and Traumerei going out, or like going all out and really fighting each other, that's a main event type fight. And I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we should be doing a main event type fight when we still haven't finished Bam and Dumas. We still haven't finished Lobanon and his group fighting Kirin and whoever's showing up from Revolution. We still have a bunch of like these small, like minor plot threads still hanging around. I think that we should probably wrap up more of those before we get into a real fight. But we could start getting the prelude to a real fight. We could just be getting the small beginnings of a conflict between Gaston and Traumerei, and does that boil over into a bigger fight once we've cut away a few more times and settled some of the side stuff? Maybe then it boils into like a full-on fight. Does it get interrupted by the chess game at any point because something happens with one of the chess pieces? And I think we talked about it before, where they said at the beginning, I think, that the chess game was agreed upon by the administrator. So much like there are certain things that even the family heads can't do, I like that one of you brought it up in the comments, and I almost forgot to talk about this. See, I'm so sorry for forgetting to credit you. Let me go look back at it really quick. It was Zenon Apieron, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. They were talking about the contracts, and they're like, yeah, we've been told that Zahard has the king's contract, and the king's contract says that nobody from the tower can kill you. But the family heads don't have the king's contract. They don't have the contract saying nobody in the tower can kill you. And they do all have immortality, so presumably they can't die of old age, natural circumstances, or whatever. They don't age anymore, they'll live forever. They're immortal, but that doesn't mean they're immortal, but it doesn't mean they can't be killed. But seriously, so it's one of those things where we saw before that even though V was able to take himself out, so to speak, Arlen couldn't do the same. And we see that Bellerir said the same about Gaston, that Gaston can't take himself out. He needs somebody else to do it. And so it makes sense then that, yeah, the other irregulars or people with special powers could potentially kill one of the others. They just can't take themselves out because that would be breaking a contract that they made with the administrator for immortality. So again, we don't know if this chess piece game is something that, because Gustang and Traumerei agreed to it, they are compelled in some way to follow the rules of it. And in much the same way, Gustang probably can't take himself out, Traumerei can't take himself out, but they could kill each other, they could take each other out. And I think that might be true of, potentially anybody from the tower. The thing is, the people from the tower just aren't strong enough to hang with them. And at the very least, the reason that we have, we need the irregular, we need Bomb to go after Zahard is because, Zahard has the king's contract, somebody from the tower can't kill him. But when it comes to the non-Zahard family heads, that's why we have slayers, that's why we have people like White and Yama who have special abilities who could, in theory, kill a family head, even though they can't kill Zahard himself. So I think that made me think of the contracts in a better way, because I always just kind of thought about it as nobody can really kill any of the great warriors, with the exception of an irregular or somebody with special powers. But putting it that way, it's like, oh yeah, the king's contract is different from the immortality contracts. They all have immortality contracts, but that doesn't mean that they can't kill each other, or that somebody with special powers can't kill them, or maybe even if a Towerborn got strong enough, it might not even mean that a Towerborn can't kill them. But the king's contract is something that's unique to Zahard. Zahard is the one that can only be killed by an irregular. Somebody like Joaquin, as strong as he could potentially get as White, even if he got strong enough to kill Ariejon, he still probably couldn't kill Zahard just because contracts make it not happen. It is still, somewhat vague, and I think that it being somewhat vague is a good thing. Having things too spelled out probably isn't a good idea either. But I wanted to talk about, I kind of got off track, but I was talking about the chess game being a thing that could potentially interrupt Gustang and Traumerei, but we'll see if that happens. So that could even happen this chapter, because we have the kings in play right here, but I'm assuming it won't. I'm assuming that this chapter, and it might even take a while, is going to be a slow start to ramp up the conflict. And if you want me to give my predictions, I haven't been spoiled on anything in the future. I hope we finally see some revolution stuff, but my theory, my prediction here is we start ramping up the conflict with the family heads, but while we're ramping up this conflict, and who knows, this arc's already been pretty long, so who knows how many more chapters or even dozens of chapters it could take, but as we're ramping up this conflict, we're going to cut back away to Bomb and Dumas, we're going to cut back away to the other smaller conflicts and smaller subplots going on, and then the conflict is going to keep going until it builds into the climactic final fight with the two of them. And when we get that climactic final fight, will the revolution people who showed up have not been them? They were not them? Will they have already been taken out by characters like Yama and Lobadan and Cha, all of these other strong high ranker characters? Or will they play a role in the final climactic battle? And I think when that final battle happens, that's when we'll finally, even though it feels like they've been traveling here for forever compared to how short of a time it took everybody else, even though it feels like it's taken forever to get here, I think that once we get into that battle, whether it's at the very end of the battle, the very, climax of it, but not really the end, whether it's after the battle has just finished, that's when we finally get characters like, Mircea and the rest of FUG that's with him, and Walhaiksong with Yurik. That's when we finally get them showing up. So, I think it might be a while before we get to them. But either way, those are just my predictions for how the rest of this arc is going. Let's actually start reading this week. Let me make sure that you all can see the chapter well. We do have a violence warning, but as usual, that may as well be meaningless. No idea if it means anything. Don't be absurd. You finally decided to show yourself, did you? I thought you were hiding from me. Okay, so we're not getting a recap, straight into new stuff. Gustang. I just needed some time to clear my mind and make a decision. But okay, never mind. Maybe we did see this at the end of last chapter. I didn't remember this line from Traumerei, but this seems more familiar. Yeah, I definitely remember his like declaration of deciding to kill him. We get our title splash: Tromare versus Gaston, or battle between the family heads. Tromare versus Gaston won. Okay. Again, I wonder, because we had our first ever instance of calling something, what was it called, Reunion, then cutting away to Bomb and Dumas, Battle in the Heart Part 1 and 2, and then going back for Reunion 2. That was our first time ever doing something like that. So I wonder if we're going to stick with this title, or if it's going to be a situation of we'll get a chapter Tromare versus Gaston, then we might get something else, so on and so forth. Because again, with so many smaller things, I really don't think we're getting a fight this big and then being like, oh wow, did you enjoy that really hype, awesome fight between the family heads? Now let's go watch weaker high ranker versus weaker high ranker. I don't think we're getting that after, like, after Tromare and Gaston. Tromare and Gaston is kind of like the fight here. What did you just say, Gaston? You're going to kill me. You. That's right. Now we're seeing, I think this is maybe still more of the ancient Shinhale, or Shinwei? Shinhale. You're completely delusional. You know that. And it looks monstrous. This might even be some of the monstrous things we saw in those tanks, or stuff he made from them, from the experiments. Because this looks pretty messed up looking. Have you forgotten? After what happened that day, we all agreed to never harm each other no matter what. Are you saying... And then, you're going to break that promise, Gaston. Again, I've seen some people complain about the long panels, and yeah, I gotta say, rip to mobile readers. And then we have Belarenkidu running. And then also Andrasi. Or Andorthy, you know. And then, oh no, the shit finally hit the fan. I did also see some complaints too, that it's like, in the past, it seemed like when the family heads were around, it's like the people looked up and their eyes burnt out, or like people were terrified at their very presence, and now Andorthy's just a regular, just hanging around. Why are those two fighting now? They haven't even gotten my chess piece yet. And we have this burning. Is that from Gaston? And she bongs away. We see him just using more explosive flames. Crap, they've started fighting already. But it's okay. As long as I have as long as I have this king, there's still hope for us. Hey, that's him. The guy who took my chess piece. I need to get it back. And she tries to just warp in and steal it from his pocket at all costs. He notices as she grabs onto it and then kicks her away. So close. You little thief! How dare you try to steal that from me? He's going in for a punch. But she warps away again. That was a close call. He almost killed me just now. What am I gonna do, or what am I going to do? I need to find some way to steal the chess piece. And why would she care about the... Again, when it comes to... like, she just said he almost killed her. Why on earth would Andorthy care about this? Like, at all. She has no reason, I feel like. They're already fighting. She doesn't know the full deal and scope of what's going on, really. It's not like she's going to die if the chess piece is taken. And I think she would care about which of the family heads might get custody, so to speak, of Bomb. But again, the chess piece game isn't really about that so much as the Bomb not getting captured is. And again, I feel like we've already gone past that point. Like I said, with Bomb and Dumas fighting, I think that with Gaston and Tromare now openly hostile to each other, I just feel like we've gone past the point of Bomb and his allies caring about the chess piece game, or even caring about fighting necessarily. Right now for them, Like, it feels like the most logical thing for them would just be to leave. And maybe that's what Baum wants going after Dumas. Again, I think Baum trying to reason with Dumas and maybe even trying to work with the Popedal family would have maybe been smarter. But if the idea is that Baum just wants to get Kuhn and Rack and get out of there, then that makes sense to me. But it just doesn't make much sense why Aunt Dorothy would want to put her life on the line for the chess piece game when she doesn't have all the information and the family heads are literally already fighting. It just seems like the risk is super high, and I don't see what she gets out of it that she would care about. Now we have more of the explosions tearing apart the Shinheo. More shots of Traumerei. Holin. And is... Okay, never mind. Sees that. I was going to say, is that Holin? But no, he's down here. I mean, it kind of is. He's just kind of become a true chimera. Sees that fool for me. Yes, my lord. This is a cool shot. I really like this one. And all of these ancient sea creatures are wrapping around Gaston. Man, Holin is really, really, really interesting with this design. It feels very Final Fantasy boss to me. This is a living labyrinth. I made it just the way you like, Gaston. The walls are formed by countless ancient fish holding on to each other's tails. It's impossible to destroy the whole thing at once. And the harder you try to break out of it, the more quickly the fish are restored by the power of my Shinwan Ryu. It's literally an infinitely regenerating living labyrinth. So this is the role reversal of Traumerei being trapped in Gaston's labyrinth. So honestly, if this is the role reversal for that, I feel like Traumerei was in Gaston's labyrinth for like up to a dozen chapters or maybe more. So we could just have a situation where Gaston gets, like, either he's going to instantly break out, or he could get trapped in the labyrinth for a little while while we wrap up the side stuff. It's literally an infinitely regenerating living labyrinth. This should be enough to hold him in place for a moment. Serves you right. Let's see how you like being trapped in a labyrinth. He looks over. Now, as for Gaston's chess piece, I'm not sure why, but he's still here for some reason. I need to get that chess piece. And he's starting to go himself and end this game. You're so predictable. From the moment I first saw that you included a mere advanced ranker like him among the branch leaders. Okay, so confirmation of Holin's rank here. I knew there must be a reason that you trust him. That's why. I already dealt with him in advance. Or have you forgotten? So is Gaston's spell still active? I know you better than anyone, Traumerei. You never trust anyone that you can't control. And we see his tongue catch flame. And it erupts from his body. So is this going to be the end for Holin then? Then what just happened? It does look like he's burning away. Unless Traumerei can just continually regenerate him like he does his other creatures. Holin? Then we have pathetic loser written. Gaston, you bastard. You went to all this trouble to create a labyrinth to trap me inside. Are you that afraid to fight me, Traumerei? Now we have more flames erupting. And he gets right up to him. We have a pat. It's time to wake up and face reality, my friend. Playtime is over. By the end of the day. And then he has his hand on the side of his face. One of us is going to die. And he slaps him away. Though again, weird that he's moving his hand this way, Traumerei's flying this way. Weird paneling. It would have been like more impactful, neat if he knocked him to the side. And that's where we end for this time. So again, yeah, they're just still playing around, just still starting out their conflict. But I did think it was mostly good. I think the art with Tower of God, especially in Season 3, a little hit and miss. But generally good. I think that the hole and stuff is neat and interesting. I don't really like the Andrasi and, or Endorthi and Belarankidu stuff, because Belarankidu just seemed like a little bit of a clown here, and I don't see why Endorthi would care for the chess piece game in this moment, when, again, from her perspective, from her point of view, basically it was just, okay, we're playing this chess piece game, you're the king, you don't want to get killed or captured. Makes sense. She doesn't want to get killed or captured because it has to do with the fight between the family heads, but then the family heads themselves start fighting, and it's like, okay, your chess piece was stolen. Your chess piece being stolen is bad for Gastang, though. It's not bad for you, it's not bad for Bomb. Bomb's goal is to not get captured, which he didn't really succeed in at the moment. But again, if push comes to shove, living, not dying, is more important than the chess game, because the chess game is just something to help Bomb. But even if you fail at the chess game, there's still plenty of ways to help Bomb. Again, Bomb can still just try to escape. Again, trying to escape from a family head, it's difficult, but the two of them are fighting right now, and yeah, they would still come chase after you, but hasn't everybody been chasing after Bomb for a while now? So it does just feel weird that it's like, it's not something to risk your life over, really. If you're in her position. Like, they could just try to leave. Like, if you die, it's all over. You can't help Bomb. So it just feels weird that she would stick around. Especially, again, you're a regular in a place where family heads are fighting. And before, it seemed like even just them flexing their powers was enough to be like, we need to get out of here, even if we're high rankers, because we could potentially die. We had, when Murchia flexed his strength against Yurik, even people as high-ranking and powerful as Jinsung and Garnak and Kelhelm were like, crap, we need to back up away from here, and yet we have literal family heads, like actual family heads fighting with each other, and Andrasi's just hanging around. So that's one thing that I'm not a big fan of with this chapter, but that's basically it, really. Other than that, I just thought it was good. It was kind of what I expected when it came to just, you know, starting off this conflict, but it's not something that, again, with as long and maybe bloated as Tower of God arcs have gotten, this is not something that's going to be resolved within even 10 chapters, probably, maybe not even within 20 chapters will this be resolved. So we'll have to see where we go in the next weeks. Some of you already know months ahead of what I know, but we'll have to wait and see where things go. Thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of this chapter, my first thoughts and reaction to it. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it is free and open for anyone. Just ask and I can give you a link. If you'd like to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks, it is very much appreciated. Or if you want to help support the channel and also get your name at the end of every video, also get One Piece videos a little bit early, you can hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who are already patrons and channel members. Thank you to Chosen Regular, Evan Hawley, Magical Girls, FR Nono, Abyss Knight, JA, and DD Ban, Cheriton Students, David Langstaff and Folded Ghoul, Slayer Candidates, SG and Stan Cedar, and Pure Element, Pate Ardial. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.